We don't need to encourage him.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
We don't need to encourage him, and we damn sure don't need to encourage other people by, I say this loosely, probably incorrectly, but educating them on how to actually make Kanye president. Hey everyone, support our Patreon, which helps us to continue bringing you our live streams, videos, and podcasts while bringing you new content such as exclusive live streams and animated shorts. So, by now, I think it's very clear to everybody that we're not going to make Kanye shut up. He's not going to sit down. He ain't going to stop running his jibs in his mouth over here. He ain't gonna stop talking about this run for president, no matter how stupid this shit looks.
Our future. To live up to our dream, we must have vision. Include.
Yo, here looking like a black General Zod and shit.
In the fan zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, we've tried to reason with Yeezy. You know, we tried to get through to him. You know, I try to help the fellow black folks out there, but it's obvious that Kanye is beyond reason now. But I tell you what we don't need to do. We don't need to encourage him.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
We don't need to encourage him, and we damn sure don't need to encourage other people by, I say this loosely, probably incorrectly, but educating them on how to actually make Kanye president. We don't need to let people know how we can make that more of a possibility, which is exactly what your boy over here, Joe Rogan, did, man. So if by some miracle or curse, Kanye does become president, or Kanye just up the whole system, then we can blame Joe Rogan for that. Because Joe Rogan told the people, well, hey, you know what? I think it's a good idea to have Kanye as president. And, you know, I know he's probably not on the ballot where you are. So here's how we're going to do it.
I mean, it's one of the things that made people excited about Trump, is at least he was an alternative to the political talk.
So, OK, let me just counter this real quick. I'm going to let this video play. Let me just also give you some context here. This is from a 3-hour interview that he did with Kanye, and I did not watch that. So I have to, you know, full disclosure, let you know that maybe something was said that was amazing, and I didn't see it. But I will also say, while I agree with Joe Rogan about politicians, because I don't like that about politicians. You know, we're just out there to hear them say what we want to hear them say. We're out there to hear them be charismatic or just to give us a reason to cheer. And, you know, we fall for it. Meanwhile, we know that every candidate, every politician can follow through on what they promise. You know, so I understand this whole thing of like listening to somebody's different who is different. But there's a difference between listening to somebody who's different and giving us alternatives. And there's a big difference between that and somebody who's flat out lying.
I think it feels like Joe Rogan is a Trump supporter, and he just.
I think he's more of a libertarian, and it's not an anti-Joe Rogan thing. But there is a point to be made here. You know, there's a difference between getting somebody who might sound different, but somebody who's sounding different because they don't know what they're doing. Are they lying? You know, they have an angle when they come in. There's a big difference between that. So don't fall for this whole shit of like, oh my God, they sound different from everybody else. Yeah, they sound different because they're goddamn liars. That's why. They're probably one of the boldest liars that we have out there, and that's why they sound different.
So people can write you in if they want to.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
We have a video on that. You just got to go down to the part where it says, or write in Kanye West on your ballot.
Don't do this.
Shit, I missed it, man. If I knew it, I would have Kanye.
It was, who knew? It was that easy. And I got to say, people, if it is that easy and it was on our ballot where you can write in some your own candidate, I got to say that's disturbingly simple right there. It's a little too easy.
Yeah, these nuts.
Yeah. I put these nuts before I put Kanye. Let me say a lot of things about this, because I'm not anti Joe Rogan. I actually like Joe Rogan. I don't, like I said, man, I've said this before. I don't know exactly what his politics are because I don't listen to him a lot because it's like us, his podcast along, which that's cool. I admire that. But I think he might be libertarian. I'm not sure. But I don't have a, you believe what you want to believe. You do what you want to do and that's fine. But people, I got to say this. Again, without listening to everything that was said in this interview, but there is something that's very aware to me right here. Joe Rogan is the perfect example in this instance of what it is to be a rich white man.
Yeah.
Because being a rich white man, being rich pretty much in general, but being a rich white man, especially you can afford a lot of things. You can afford a lot of things, including the luxury of around. I say this because while he's sitting up here telling people to write Kanye's name into the ballot, he's doing this because whatever happens, it's probably not going to affect him unless Kanye goes nuts and somehow releases a nuclear missile or something. But Kanye's not going to be president. Okay, that's not the big thing. It's like he'll go in and mess up the system and whatnot, throw things off at worst. Chances are he probably won't do that. But I mean, still, being able to go in and casually tell people to do that, he can afford to around like that. He might even be joking. He might be doing this sarcastically, saying, "Yeah, write Kanye's name to the ballot. He's not going to really win, but it'll be funny." We can't, Oz, you and I, we can't afford to do that. We can't afford to around.
No, not at all, man. You're using this his platform to, I guess it gain ratings, man. Deep in my heart, I think that Joe Rogan this guy doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
But to have this guy on for 3 hours, does his show run that long?
Yeah.
3 hours regularly?
Normally?
Yeah.
So I mean, he has 3 hours of Kanye's time, man. He knows people want to listen to Kanye. People know, Kanye, was crazy. How crazy is Kanye going to be tonight? So there's no way he's going to come out there and do anything to jeopardize whatever publicity he can get people to watch his show. So he knows what he's doing as far as, placating Kanye with all this nonsense. As far as him telling people to write him in, he knows people aren't going to do that. It's just more of him, just trying to placate Kanye and, trying to drive his ratings, man. That's all this is.
Well, there's some people who are concerned that, all right, and I'm not saying that this will happen, but just the mere notion of doing this, like people who really know the stakes. People who are really scared about what's going to happen, they don't have the luxury of going there and doing that, and they wouldn't do that, and they wouldn't tell people to do that when things are when the stakes are so high. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? But even if I had Kanye on, I want to be nice to Kanye. I couldn't. I would tell Kanye straight up. I said, man, this is, fine what you're doing. I want to be cool with you and everything, but I cannot in good conscience promote this. I cannot in good conscience encourage you with what you're doing right here, because listen. I don't know what was said in that interview that made Joe Rogan so impressed with him.
Got enlightened.
Yeah, and I say that honestly. He might have said something that he might have gave an answer that was so beautiful and so eloquently delivered and so incredible that it would turn everybody around. I didn't hear that part, but I tell you, look, I have a long list of things that I have heard Kanye say that I cannot forget and would have an impact on any approach I have to Kanye today. I have a list of things Kanye have said. Let's go through some of the greatest hits. Maybe I didn't hear what they said in that interview, but I remember crazy shit like this.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
I remember that. I remember that clearly. How about this greatest hit right here? I remember this.
Well, Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
I remember that clearly. You don't forget shit like that. And that is something that's not a joking matter with us, especially somebody who has aspirations for the White House. I don't give a what he said in that interview. How about this one right here? How about this greatest hit right here where Kanye went to the White House and ranted his crazy ass off, man, saying nonsense.
Would you build a trap door that if you mess up and you accidentally something happens, you fall? So the poor gentleman wrote the
Look at Trump.
Trump even himself, he just kind of like, okay, what the
Yeah,
You know,
y'all
Trump-
keep snapping pictures of me and this Negro. Keep snapping.
You know what?
Keep
Trump
snapping
is
pictures.
Trump is like, I don't know what the he's saying, but you know what? The blacks, they love him.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like let him talk. Let
Yeah.
him do
Yep.
his show.
Just
Keep it rolling, guys.
Yeah,
Don't
let
quote
him
what he's saying, but
shuck
keep
and
it rolling.
jive in front of his people because the blacks, they love the hip hop people. That's what they follow. By the way, that's what Trump does. Trump thinks that he can speak to us through, for some reason, hip hop people. He thinks those are our ambassadors. So, you know, I remember all that shit. I remember all of that. So, Joe Rogan.
Those don't have 13 floors.
By the way, we don't have 13 floors, right? But we need that trap door underneath the 14th so you can go down to the 3rd, come back up for our mental consciousness because of the way the galaxy works.
Keep slapping the table.
That's that math, boy. I mean, yeah.
Man, look, Joe Rogan, he can play around. He can around with this whole thing about Kanye being president. But when it comes to encouraging people to write him in on the ballot, you know, whether it never happens, whether it doesn't even make a dent or not, that's still playing with people's lives in a way that we probably won't do. You know, and because we can't afford to take that risk. So that's one of the big differences, man. When you see people laughing this off, brushing it off, acting like nothing's happening, people who blow all this stuff off, even tell us we're wrong or we bring up something that's wrong with us. No, you're the one that's racist. You know, it's just a big range of a wide varying range of people who just don't have to have that experience. So they don't take it as seriously, man. And Joe Rogan's doing that right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you know, it's a case where, like you said, man, stuff is serious right now. The issues that we're going through and what, you know, this fool in the White House now is bringing to light, or has been bringing to light these past 4 years, you know, that needs to be changed. There needs to be a shift in that way of leading, right? And when you have somebody else who's actually kind of making sense, you know, and you have somebody else who's just out of his mind sounding, you know, how could you push somebody who's out of their mind at this critical junction, especially, you know, people of color?
Yeah.
I mean, from this video, what I think is Joe Rogan is openly Trump supporter, and that's why he supports Kanye, because Kanye is Trump's toy right now. He might be even paid for this, I don't know, but like,
yeah, maybe
Yeah, maybe.
That's
You're
pretty
right.
open that he shows that he's supporting Trump here. I even saw on the chat somebody says like he called Trump lion not long ago, so it shows that he's supporting him in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who Joe Rogan's voting for. I'm not even trying to attack him politically. I'm trying to attack him for being irresponsible and to prove people like this is. People try to wonder what is privilege. What is privilege? What is privilege? Privilege is when you can go out and you can do anything without really worrying about the repercussions and probably not even suffering from them. And that's what this is. You're looking at privilege right here, man. You have Joe Rogan who has the privilege of going out and doing this right here, telling people to vote for Kanye, where the rest of us are like, that scares us to death. If he even like, not even if he's voted in as president, just the mere fact that he just might pull voters away. You know, that are messing up the system. That weirds people out, man. That makes people very worried. And, you know, he doesn't have to, and regardless of whatever happens, he's going to be all right. He's a rich person. He's a rich white person. He'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely.
He'll be perfectly fine. That's why people, when they sit up here, anybody today who is laughing at all this, anybody today who is not worried about all this, they're probably either a person of privilege or they're rich. And, you know, that's or they're just ignorant, you know? So anyway, I just saw that and I was like, man, boy, Joe Rogan moved to town and did not waste a moment getting stupid with that shit.
Slinging his privilege around.
Yeah, didn't waste a moment. I think he's another guy like 50 Cent who's probably just more concerned about his taxes more than anything. I think that's why Joe Rogan moved to town. I don't know why. He says he moved here because the city's cool and whatever. They were about, from what I understand, his taxes were about to, they were very expensive in LA. They might have gone up even more. Taxes are not the same here.
He moved off.
Yeah, he's in Austin, yeah.